It hasn't been a fun offseason for the Bruins. Kind of knew it wasn't going to be great. It still got frustrating in free agency. They are one of the big losers of free agency in this NHL season. They went out and they got James Higgins. There's some hope in the future. But I think if you're a Bruins fan like me and you need to get through the day, looking at what this team's going to be next year, I think you have your eyes set towards next July the 2026. I think a lot of teams are looking at that, both nervously and hopefully, because this is going to be one of the best free agent classes we've seen in a long time. Okay. McDavid, Eichel, Kaprizov, Bobrovsky, Kyle Connor, Artemi Panarin. There's all this laundry list of superstars, future Hall of Famers that are going to be on the market next July. At least that's what we think. Okay, because of course, with the new cap, it's making it easier for teams to retain their guys. We saw it this past year. We saw it this month, right? Like, who thought Sam Bennett was going to stay with Florida after the postseason he had? That guy should have been getting $10 million somewhere else. But if you're looking at a hopeful outlook for the Bruins, and let's be honest, a somewhat realistic outlook for the Bruins, it is fair to say, or it's a fair strategy for Don Sweeney and the Bruins to say, you know what? Next year is where we're going to pounce. We're not going to pounce on Nikolai Ehlers. We're not going to pounce on Brock Besser. We're not going to go out and get Rasmus Anderson in a trade. We're going to look towards next year and this loaded free agent class. And at the very top of my wish list for the Boston Bruins in 2026 is bringing Jack Eichel back home and making him your franchise superstar center. Connor McDavid's not going to make it to market. I hate to break it to you guys. Okay? That's just not happening. Best player on the planet is not going to make it to free agency next year. Leon Draisaitl signed in September of last year, so these things can get prolonged, but he's not going to make it. Jack Eichel might make it to free agency. The way that Vegas operates, they'll be in on another superstar next year. And Jack Eichel, of course, will be at his age 30 season by then. And they'll probably say, you know what, we're going to go and get the next guy. Because that's what Vegas does. They reload. They're not afraid to kind of part with some of their icons of the past. The past, with all their history that they've got. So Jack Eichel could well make it to market. And if you're the Boston Bruins, or in our case, a Boston Bruins fan, I'd give anything to have Jack Eichel on this team. Anything except maybe David Pastrnak, because then what's the point? But all it's going to cost you is money. And the Bruins are going to have that next year. The cap is going up for everybody, sure. But right now, the Bruins are slated to have $20 million in cap space next year. And that is before clearing Jonas Korpisalo and Pavel Zacha off the books, guys who could be great trade chips both in this offseason and during the season. So when you get Victor Arvidsson and Johnny Beecher off the books, they're going to be free agents. That's $5 million right there. You get Jonas Korpisalo and Pavel Zacha potentially off the books. That's $8 million right there. You replace them with some replacement level guys. Let's say you're walking out with $6 to $8 million extra on top of the $20 million that you've already got. They are going to be in pole position to go out and get one of these guys. And if you are going to make a guy in a lab that fits all the Bruins' needs right now, Jack Eichel is what you would walk out of the lab with. Like, no doubt. Franchise center, one of the best playmakers in the league, has become one of the best 200-foot centers in the league. His defensive game has improved dramatically. He is the backbone of a championship team. We've already seen it. He's already done it in Vegas. And oh, by the way, not for nothing, he's coming off his best year ever. 94 points in 77 games last year. 66 assists in 77 games. And a plus 32 at the center position. He's not giving the puck away. He's getting Selke votes. He finished top 5 in the Selke voting this year for the first time in his career. He finished top 5 in the Hart Trophy voting. Finished top 3 in the Lady Byng Trophy voting, if you're into that kind of thing, if you're into the gentlemanly play. This guy has become a well-rounded, fully developed 200-foot center. That's what happens to these guys when they leave Buffalo. They become winners and terrific players. And Jack Eichel might be the best example of that. Sam Reinhart, yeah. Ryan O'Reilly, sure. Conn Smythe Trophy winner. But Jack Eichel was as good as anybody on that team in the postseason 2 years ago. And him playing alongside David Pastrnak, that could feed families. That could feed families. That could get Morgan Geekie on the other side to an all-star team. It truly could. All the things the Bruins need, right there. A center, skill, offensive creativity, and what Don Sweeney loves, played his college hockey in Boston. What else could Don Sweeney ask for? But of course, the next question comes up, would Jack Eichel want to play for the Bruins? I think that's a fair question to ask. The Bruins are not exactly a real sexy option right now. For a guy who's playing for one of the best teams and one of the best organizations in the league, in the Vegas Golden Knights, and who's already won a Stanley Cup, and is still in his prime, coming off his best season ever. Who's to say he won't do it again this year? Does he want to come to the Bruins? And here's where you got to put on your nostalgia cap. Here's where you got to get all kinds of schmaltzy. Okay? Here's where you got to look at those pictures of Johnny Tavares in the Maple Leafs pajamas in the Maple Leafs bed as a kid and think, maybe that's just the full pitch here. Okay? Because at that point, you're going to be coming off a bad year. But I think there will be hope for the prospect pool and what they're bringing in the future. Probably another top 10, maybe a top 5 pick in 2026. And you say to Jack Eichel, we're closer than a lot of people think. And we know that you grew up living and dying with everything this Bruins team did. We know in your pre-draft workout when they asked you what your favorite hockey memory was, it was you saying watching the Bruins win the Stanley Cup with your dad. You can do that again. You can come here and restore order in this city. You can be the focal point of that next wave of Bruins hockey. You and Pasta and James Hagans and Gavin McKenna. Okay? We're going to be building something here. And not for nothing, we'll pay you $15 million a year. We'll make you the highest paid player in the league, which is probably what it will take if McDavid does not make it to free agency. Even if he doesn't, McDavid might get 15, 16 million, right? But that's probably what it's going to take. It's going to take, especially in a place where have state income tax. It's going to be north of $14 million a year. He's probably going to want an 8 or 9 year deal as a 30-year-old. And if I'm the Bruins, I do that in a second. There just aren't these guys that make it to market. We said it about Mitch Marner this season. You don't get a guy who's a 100-point winger in his prime make it to free agency. And in the case of Jack Eichel, it's probably even more rare. A 90-point center who doesn't have the question marks of Mitch Marner, who has won the Stanley Cup and was arguably his team's best player in that playoff run. You don't have that with Mitch Marner. All the questions you had around that for a guy who's far and away the best free agent in this year's class, you don't have it for Jack Eichel in next year's class. And personally, do I want this to happen? Like, absolutely, man. When I tell you, going to BU games in 2014, 2015 and seeing Jack Eichel play live in college is one of the great honors I've had as a sports fan. It was an honor. Okay, this guy was next level. Like, I've seen Jaromir Jagr play live. I've seen Crosby play live. I've seen Bergeron play live. I've seen Connor McDavid play live a couple of times. Leon Draisaitl, Connor Bedard. But when you ask me who's the best hockey player I've seen live, the best player versus their competition, it's not even close. It's Jack Eichel in college. I mean, from day one he set foot on campus, it was pretty obvious. This kid's too good for college hockey. And he was. In any other year, maybe ever, other than Crosby, he's the number one pick in the draft, but he happens to be McDavid's year. And he's number 2. And unfortunately, he goes to Buffalo, which is a fucking mess. But his skating ability, man, he was gliding past everybody. He was so far and away the best player on the ice anytime he took the ice. And it was frustrating to see him in Buffalo for a couple of years, and obviously the whole mess with the back surgery and just an absolute dumpster fire of an organization. And then he goes to a real team in Vegas, and this is the Jack Eichel we expected, man. This is it right here. Not just an all-star. He did that a couple of times in Buffalo, but a true premier top 5 center in the league who is impacting winning at the highest level. Like, there's nothing more you can ask for if you're a Bruins fan than that. I think Bruins fans would line up to donate, pay him $15 million a year if they could do that. So I get that vision. I see that vision of, hey, let's save the bullets for next year. That's kind of one of the reasons why I was so pissed about the Tanner Jeannot thing. It's not big money, $3.5 million a year, but you locked him down for 5 years. That's someone on your books for 5 years. Why do you need a fourth liner on your books for 5 years? You don't need that. You can get a tough guy every year. No problem getting that. You need someone to stand up for the kids. I get it. I understand that. It's an old school way of thinking, but I definitely understand that. You just don't lock him down for 5 years. That's all. And anything that you do this year to make you from the 15th best team in the Eastern Conference to the 14th best team in the Eastern Conference and takes away from your shot at getting one of these major, massive names next year, that's a mistake. Bring Jack Eichel home. That has to be priority number 1 next offseason for the Bruins. It has to be. And that can jolt you pretty close to contention right away. I mean, right away. But again, Eichel isn't the only one that's hitting the market here. Okay. And that's obviously the big question. Who is going to hit the market? Okay. And thank you to Puck Luck in the comment section here. Guys, get your comments in. You're an idiot if you think this will ever happen. You're a fucking idiot if you think that's the proper use of your. But yes, Puck Luck, I am an idiot. I will fully cop to that. I will. Jack Eichel is not going to be the only one on the market next year, if he even gets to the market. Okay. McDavid won't. Kaprizov won't. Okay. I don't even know if Bobrovsky will at this point, even at his age. Just the Panthers just aren't going to do that. Okay. But there are some guys who probably will. Alex Tuch, I don't think he's signing long-term in Buffalo. I doubt it. 30-plus goals 2 of the last 3 seasons, 6'4" winger, 29 years old. Played his college hockey around Boston at Boston College. Don Sweeney loves that. That could be a terrific add to your team. And almost like a Brock Besser deal. Sure. Marty Necas. That's an interesting one. Thought he might get traded this offseason. Maybe he still will. He'll probably hit the market next year. Colorado's in a cap hell, kind of like Vegas. 25-goal center. Plays on the wing sometimes. 83 points in 79 games last year. Still in his prime. Going to be 27. 27 when he hits the market. Adrian Kempe. One of the most underrated players in the league out there in LA playing for the Kings. 35-plus goals in 3 of the last 4 seasons. Winger, 29, still in his prime years. So there are options. But if you're the Bruins, I mean, priority number 1 has to be bringing the kid from North Chelmsford, Massachusetts, the Boston University Terrier, back to his hometown. I gotta have it. When I lay my head down on the pillow at night, I dream of one thing, and that is Jack Eichel in the black and gold. Oh, boy. What number is he going to wear? Can't wear number 9. Can't wear number 15. What's going to be a good fit for Jack Eichel? This is the shit I think about all the time. He's a dream player. He's one of my favorite players in the league, obviously. A dream player for the Bruins to go out there and get. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Tell me if I'm an idiot or not. I can take it. Let me know in the comment section below. Be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel. Only about 5% of you watching on average are actually subscribed to the channel. We're bringing you nothing but Boston sports news, mainly in the hockey world, every single weekday, high noon Eastern time, and then wherever you get your podcasts as well. So check out the other videos on the channel, talking Bruins, everything else going on in Boston sports. I'm your host, Cam Stuart. That's why it's the name of the show. Zach Burke keeps us on the air 5 days a week.